Lots of fights happening in markets. There are always interesting fights happening, but there is none so spectacular as the massive fallout between Peter Moyo and Old Mutual. Peter Moyo sticking to his guns, insisting that he is in the right when it comes to his sacking from Old Mutual. He was fired twice. He insists on being called the chief executive of Old Mutual because the High Court in Johannesburg has said he should be reinstated. He isn't the chief executive because Old Mutual has not reinstated him and runs the risk of being declared in contempt of a court order. Where does this go to next? Anybody dare to have a bet?
Well, look, we don't know the full background. I mean, each person has got their own lawyers which tell them we are right in our view, and eventually we'll get there. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter all that much, to be honest. Old Mutual is far bigger than one individual person. Of course, it diverts time, it diverts attention. They should be concentrating on the market and beating their competitors instead of beating themselves.
In an economy where we've had 70 consecutive months of contraction, Reserve Bank figures the worst environment since 1945, you don't want to be having unnecessary fights.
It's not good, but it's not catastrophic. So it makes headlines and should make headlines. And, and so far it appears as though Old Mutual's losing, but you don't know.
Old Mutual's losing the PR war.
They're clearly losing the PR war. But, I mean, they've been ruled against in the court, and now they're back at court again. But it actually doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It'll be a distraction for Old Mutual for however long it goes on for. Maybe it goes on for 10 years. Who knows? And the share price will come under a little bit of pressure, but not excessively. It's not going to destroy the company.
It's not going to destroy the company, but it destroys reputations. I mean, how long can this thing drag on for?
But I can't understand how anyone can think they have, sort of like a perennial right to be the boss of something. I mean, at the end of the day, Moyo works for the company. If they don't want him, he must go. So they must reach some sort of financial settlement and then he must out. I know that the stakes are high and the lawyers are sharp and so on and so forth. Maybe they should rename themselves New Mutual and tell him he can be the CEO of Old Mutual. I mean, I don't even know what the share price is. I have no interest really in Old Mutual. I suppose
you made that clear the last time he was here.
Sorry.
He suggested everybody got fired and they shut the whole place down and nobody would notice. That is what he said. And there are a lot of people like that sort of comment. But Paul would put a lot of people out of work, and would not be a good thing.
I know. There were people in mid-management positions at Old Mutual who were calling to say, we are not idiots. We work at Old Mutual and you said we were all idiots. That's unfair.
Okay, I hope you've got a good lawyer. Tell me about Old Mutual and Prosus, Naspers and Prosus. The big breakup happened in the middle of September, finally. It took longer than Brexit. And it's all went all very exciting, fizz, pop, whiz, bang, and then it's gone fizzle.
Look, the company hasn't changed. The underlying assets are exactly the same. So I suppose if we expected fizzle in the shorter term, it was being over-ambitious. It is a positive. They are in more indices. They are getting somewhat, little bit more exposure to the global investor, the European investor. But the underlying assets haven't changed at all. So what underlies the business is still exactly the same as what underlied Naspers.
And it's still Tencent, but within Naspers, there was this massive discount.
And there's great potential for that discount to be unlocked, but listing process isn't going to unlock it.
But it should have.
It should have. And that's what we were told would happen.
Why don't the Europeans recognize the full value of the Chinese and other assets?
It's the other assets, not the Chinese assets. It's the other assets that you got to get. Now, why? I don't know.
The OLX, all the brilliant stuff, the delivery hero. What's wrong with the Europeans that they aren't buying the bloody thing?
At the end of the day, those companies have got to turn a profit and positive cash flow before the market will recognize the value in them. And by listing process doesn't do that. So it's a question of time.
Yeah.
If you believe management and you think that they've got good companies and they will progress and they will do something, you will eventually unlock that value. The way to unlock the value today is to list Tencent by itself and all the other assets in a separate vehicle, and immediately you'll get the market giving a valuation of both, but they can't because the other businesses need the cash flow from Tencent.
Investors they've wised up after they bought Uber at a huge premium as a result of it doesn't make any money yet, but it will one day. And now WeWork, of course, WeWork doesn't work, and they've been sold a lemon on WeWork, and the CEO of WeWork is gone, and they have to rethink this entire globalization of WeWork because we've become used to this idea that you can create something that everybody really loves, and it doesn't have to make any money, and you can invest billions and billions and billions into it, and it doesn't have to make any money. And eventually investors go, hold on a second, but the first rule of investing is you've got to make money in order to grow the value of my investments.
Yes, but a lot of the assets in the Naspers Prosus build-up group are actually trading very profitably. So I actually think it's the opposite. I think investors are not wised up. They're still stupid. What's happened here is people haven't yet done the numbers and figured out that there is a vacuum here. You know, like in nature, abhors a vacuum. And in the case of markets, markets in the long run abhor a discount. It doesn't make sense. So I appreciate that this hasn't quite done the trick, but I think the next challenge to the Naspers Prosus leadership, because it's the same thing, is to see what happens next. I mean, first of all, Bob van Dijk must get out and do some investor roadshows with European investors and speak to them in Dutch or German or whatever it is that's required. I know he's excellent at both. And sell the case, you know, and then we'll hopefully see some further evolution and maturing of the underlying businesses. And, you know, in time, this thing will come right. So if you're a Naspers or Prosus shareholder or both, my view is you've got to keep accumulating, keep doing your bit to make the shareholder price go up.
And certainly I agree with that. I mean, a couple of their businesses turned positive in the last time. They've got three main businesses other than Tencent. They've got the food delivery, which is still starting.
I still don't get that. I mean, the fact that people are going to sit at home and have cold Big Macs is beyond my
comprehension. They've got the classifieds, which actually turned the J curve. They're turning into a profitable, and then they've got the payment solutions. So these are all good businesses. They've got big exposure, you know, but another, I don't know how long, 2 years, 3 years until they actually start generating their own cash. Because at the moment, they're absorbing cash. I mean, we're very positive on the outlook, but I don't think we even expect the discount to narrow in the very short term and driven by the Prosus listing. You've got to get that money in.
The pressure will rise. You know, the 10-cent stake, they could sell the whole shooting match. They could do a book build and sell the whole 30% of Tencent.
Are they allowed to do that?
To Chinese investors or whoever, they could flog them. Remember, they sold that little piece. Yeah. They could turn that into real money and then distribute the money. That's what Altaba, the holding company of Yahoo, did in the end with the Alibaba stake. At worst case scenario, you can't get rid of all the money, you sell the whole damn thing.
And then you give your shareholders the cash.
Give them the cash. You know, 10 cents, a beautiful business. The Chinese people can buy it.
But common sense seldom prevails in markets because we want to build and we want to grow because we know better. And then you've got to trust the management team. Do you trust the management team?
Management team over time, given the businesses that they've actually worked through and sold, have generated a very nice return. Not nearly as high as Tencent has, but they have still generated, quite frankly, a reasonably good return. And they've had a couple of flops, make no mistake, but they've had way more successes than flops. And you hope that and you trust that the businesses they got now will come to fruition. That's certainly why we own the shares. But as I said before, listing Prosus doesn't unlock that value.
Do I sell my car, walk, cycle, and Uber on slightly longer trips and put all that money into Prosus today?
I would be doing something of that ilk. In fact, that's what I've done with my local holdings.
Nobody wants to buy your car, by the way.
Yeah, my car. It's a nice car.
It doesn't. You drive such a skadonk.
What I think, though, is it's without doubt the most attractive investment opportunity on the market. So I would rather own Prosus shares than, you know, EOH, holding for them to turn around, or, you know, Choppy's shares waiting for them to turn around, or, I don't know, a whole plethora of other stocks. Yeah, Old Mutual for sure. I would sell my old mutuals if I still had them in a heartbeat and put it into Prosus rather. But understand, as we've been saying here, that this could be a 5 to 10 year process to unwind to get the full value out of the thing.
You're not selling your car.
He's got too many cars.
You must remember, Bruce, what's the biggest single rule of investing?
Don't lose money.
Don't put all your eggs. No, you are going to lose money. Anyone who comes up with, we're not going to lose money in investments, is not even in the same universe. You are going to lose money at some stage, and in fact, quite often in investments. On balance, you hope you make money. But the biggest rule is don't put all your eggs in one basket. So, I mean, Naspers is the biggest shareholding in our portfolio by a country mile. But we wouldn't put 100% of our money and flog our car and mortgage our house and buy Prosus.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think if you're looking at your local portfolio and you've also got offshore investments, and this is a smaller percentage of the whole, then I think you can afford to be focused. But yes, I agree absolutely with Wayne. A, never put any money that you've borrowed into the stock market. And B, don't get over-focused, because who the hell knows what happens?
Who knows, yeah.
Who the hell knows what happens?
You might be very positive. I mean, I was taken to task the other day by saying that you hope and pray something's happening, and you say, well, sure, you're an investment manager. How can your investment strategy be hope and pray? But the thing is, though, no one knows the future.
Yeah.
It is an unknown. You can analyze it and you can apply in artificial intelligence, your own intelligence, which might also be artificial. And all of these things, you don't know what's going to happen into the future.
You don't.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. And on that note, thank you very much, gentlemen, Wayne McCurry, and to Paul Theron, and to you for watching. I hope your sanity is held through tonight's show. As always, a bit of a challenge on this first show of the month. Thank you very much for watching Taking Stock on ENCA. Good night.